welcome to Broken Silence. I'm Sanyya Gardez. Joining me today is a very special guest, Indian-born writer Hema Marchela, who arrived in the UK just over 30 years ago, speaking only a few words of English, but has gone on to become an acclaimed writer of what is now becoming one of my favorite books, The River Manjeera. Thank you for joining us today, Hema.
Thank you, Sanyya.
First of all, I want to congratulate you. I know this is your first novel, but it's very well written, and I can honestly say it has become one of my favorite books. I found it really hard to put down.
Thank you.
Now, for those people that are watching that haven't read the book, can you give us a little bit of a description about the story?
Yeah, sure. This is a book about Neela, is my main character, who came to UK from India, marrying a British Asian, and hers was a tiny village in India, and she was, I'm not saying this was an arranged marriage, but circumstances forced her into this marriage.
Right, okay. Now, just to fill in some blanks, Neela was a young girl who you described as not particularly attractive. You said that she was a dark girl and coming from a poor family.
Yes.
Now, the reason I thought this was the most appropriate book for this particular show is we're wrapping up our first season of Broken Silence, and a lot of the topics and themes that you've covered in this book, we've covered on this show.
Yes,
and so I think it was a good way to bring the season together. Poor girl, arranged/forced marriage, comes to the UK. Yeah. To in-laws who and a husband who clearly does not want to be with her.
No.
And she suffers abuse. Now, we've also done a show on domestic abuse, and we've come to the conclusion that for South Asians, the term domestic abuse has to be redefined.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be physical. There's a lot of abuse that comes from your in-laws.
Yes.
Now, Neela's mother-in-law.
Yes, that's
she was abusive.
Yes, yeah.
What led Neela's mother-in-law, Neela being the main character, to bring this girl from India? What was her reasoning behind that?
Her reason was because she loves her son so much, and he didn't have a job, and he wasn't going to get a job, or that sort of person. So that was, I mean, she thought an innocent girl like Neela would be better for him
than somebody born and bred in the West.
Yes, yeah. Then, because she won't be independent, or she won't be
strong-willed, headstrong,
Yes, yeah. That's what that was the reason that she went to India to find a girl for her son.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now our last week's show was about guys that go back to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, find their perfect virginal bride.
Oh, yes.
And that's what happened in the Breeze from the River Manjeera.
Oh, yeah,
the main
definitely.
character was brought over from India because there is that, whether it's right or wrong, there's that that perception that a girl from back home is going to be quiet and docile and will do what needs to be done. Clearly, in this book, the main character did live up to all of those stereotypes.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
And her husband, you know, didn't want to be with her.
She wasn't wanted by her husband in the first place. And then she was treated worse than a servant by her in-laws. And it was a struggle for her to get out of that rut. And,
Did you base this character, loosely base this character on experiences that you've had, people that you've encountered?
People I have encountered. It's not based on just one person's story. This is based on so many girls like Neela. And I came to know a few people in 1990s, friends of friends, and I met them in a party, and later on I came to know their stories, and it shocked me. They shocked me so much, because I didn't think that these things are happening even in this country.
Stories of what?
In this age, I mean, we are in 2009, and still, when I met them, it was 1980s. But still, it shocked me so much.
What were their stories? Were there stories of abuse?
Abuse, yes. They were abused, and they didn't have any freedom even to go out of the house. And, some of them were working, but still, the in-laws take their salary, and they didn't even have financial independence.
Yeah.
They couldn't do anything without asking their in-laws, without their husbands or in-laws' permission.
So would you agree, I mean, I know for me reading this novel, I haven't come across a Neela in my life
Yeah.
I've not met a girl
Uh-huh.
who would put up with so much
Yes. Yeah.
from her, not only from her husband,
Yeah.
but from extended family,
Yes.
and yet still stay so committed to being in that relationship.
Yeah.
Now there is that the whole concept of dowry, and Neela comes from a poor family, and her
Yes.
parents have basically are homeless at the end of that marriage.
Oh, yes,
Now we
definitely.
know that still happens. We talked about it before the show.
Yes.
Have you, when you were writing the story, were you taking those that idea of dowry and how important it is from personal experience?
Oh, yes, not exactly mine,
Yeah.
but I have seen people who sold even their own houses and properties to get a girl married, their daughter married, thinking that she will have a nice future because every parent would love their daughters or children. And that's how it was
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, yeah. Even now, still, it is happening, and we think that this dowry system will go, but it's still there.
Well, where does it exactly stem from? I mean, why is the girl's family the one that's giving the dowry? Why isn't it the guy's family that's giving the girl's family dowry? Where does that stem from?
I think from the centuries, women were treated like that, especially in Asian women. I believe that, because if we go back to like 1800s, 1860s, it was still this sati was happening in those days, and
I want to get to Sati, and we
Yeah.
will get to it. We'll in our next segment, because that's
Yeah.
Neela comes here, gets married, suffers abuse, from her mother-in-law, her sister-in-law, her brother-in-law,
Yes.
her husband,
Yeah.
and then it is left a young widow.
Yeah.
And I do want to touch upon that just a
Okay.
little bit later. Now, you were born and raised in India and had an arranged marriage
Yes.
and moved to the UK.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's been really successful for you.
Yes.
But could you relate to Neela, the homesickness that she felt when she first came here, the
definitely.
strangeness?
Definitely, yeah, yeah. I used to feel homesick when I first came here, even though I'm happily married and my husband treated me very nicely. But still you feel, homesick, and you feel so lonely in this country, because when I first came here, I couldn't speak a word of English, and there weren't any other family members here. So I couldn't go out freely and talk to other people, things like that. And I can tell you an incident. What happened was, when I first came here, my husband used to work as a junior doctor. He's still working. So just after a few days, a phone call came from the hospital.
Right.
And the person asked me if he could speak to, she said, could I speak to Dr. Manohar, please? I said, yes, but at that time he was in the bathroom. And then she asked me if he was there.
Yeah.
I said yes. And then she asked me if she could speak to him. I said no. But then she said, but it's urgent, the patient is very ill. I need to talk to him. Then I said fine, because I couldn't understand a word she was speaking.
So you
because
didn't
of
know
the
did you not know what she
accent.
was asking you?
No, I didn't know.
No.
But no, I could only hear my husband's